Hello, friends, and thank you for joining Naturally Spriggs again as I continue to prep my garden for the 2022 spring, summer, and fall year. And as you can see here, I am continuing to load up and move mulch throughout the garden and spread it around. Because in this area in particular, I'm going to be prepping this for my tomato trellises, which you'll see in a few minutes. So I'm just kind of smoothing the mulch out here. Just make sure the area is well covered to try to keep back the weeds as best as possible. And for the mulch to continue to um, decompose, which is great for the garden. So here I'm just going to go ahead and put some gasoline in the tiller. And I'm so thankful to be borrowing this tiller this year. It's really come in handy. So all right now. I think that's enough in there. Get it started. And there we go. It was a little intimidating when I first started using this, but oh, it's so much fun now. So I'm going to just go ahead and get it in place so that I can start tilling my lines. Or not lines, more so my rows. So I'm going over the area that the tomato trellises, will be going in particular. Okay. So now, since in a previous video I went ahead and took all the zip ties and the clips off, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm just moving my trellis or my cattle panel over that I'm going to be using to build or rebuild my trellises. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these T-posts out of the ground. And I will say they are very sturdy, so it does take some finagling to get them out, but they easily come up, as you can see. And as you can see, I have 4 to pull up from each trellis. What's my silly kitty cat doing? They love when I'm outside with them. Ready? Alright, I'm back in this corner here that I mentioned before. And what I'm going to do is just kind of line up everything so I can just go ahead and knock it out the way. Trying to see where exactly I want the trellis to stand. Because remember, I have 2 sets of these. Or 2 of these rather, not 2 sets, but 2 of them. I'm going to get my ladder in place. Little kitty cat, she just loves snooping around. They want to see what I'm doing. So like you're seeing here, I'm just lining it up with the cattle panel. Excuse me, I'm lining up the T-post with the cattle panel. Trying to space it out as evenly as possible. That's an approximation. Now this little instrument here is what you use to drive the T-post into the ground. And it does get quite loud. So you'll see the cats run off in just a moment here. But it is quite loud. I almost felt bad for my neighbors. Just making sure everything's in place the way I want it. And here we go. And it is important that it's lined up the way you want it, because once you get that into the ground, you're not going to be able to move it unless they take it all the way out the ground. Got those up. I was just sparing you the long drawn out process of me posting those in the ground. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to go ahead and hook up I walked into a spider web. I'm going to go ahead and put the cattle panel up on the T-post. And remember, I'm doing this by myself, so if it looks like I'm struggling, I probably am. Okay. Yep, having problems. All right, let's revisit this. This is not working.
Hello. Just a few moments ago, you saw me struggling to get this cattle panel up on these T-posts, and I realized that I forget what those things are called. The plastic, I'll tell you, I'll put it across the screen. But anyway, they were sitting out in the weather all winter, so they have pretty much rotten, and they're not going to be any use to me, so I'm going to have to use the metal wires that I had originally on here, but I couldn't find the little contraption to put them on, so I had to stop everything and go buy it. But this is what it is, this contraption here. And this thing simply helps with the wire around the cattle panel and around the T-post. So while I was out, I went ahead and got one of these. You know, I don't have the funds right now to get any equipment, but I need to make it a little bit easier on myself moving this wood chips. So anywho, I hope that this will work. It's pretty much what I've been using, but this looks like it'll be a little bit more handy. So all right, let's get back to work.
All right, we're back to it. And I think I've got a good system. I noticed that if I hook or prop the cattle panel up on top of the T-post just for a few moments and then put my clips around, it works. Okay. Yep, it works. So I was able to get those bent around. And what I did was I went ahead and just put those clips in my pocket so I would have them on hand. And there I go. I'm going to prop it up. Because the T-posts have these little grooves on it, kind of like at the top portion. And you can kind of like hook it on there just for a moment, it would definitely not stay. So I'm just kind of securing them across the board, and then I'll come back and apply additional ones as well.
All right, I'm putting the finishing touches on here. Alrighty, now I'm going back over this area that I missed because the tomato trellises were up here that I just moved to the other side of the garden. So this now needs to be freshly tilled as I get it ready for my corn. Yes, this is where I plan on putting my corn. I had the corn on the opposite side near where the new trellises have been hung, but I'm gonna bring them up here to see how they do. I felt like down at the bottom of the hill it was, too marshy, but I feel like it should do better up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this area, and I really enjoy using this tiller. It's really fun to use. It was a little intimidating at first, but now I got it and I love it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tackle this hill of wood chips and get these dispersed throughout the garden. My goal is to finish hauling as much as this as possible to the other side of the garden, and then spreading out the remainder over here by the tomatoes. This gate is a little flimsy, but it works, and it is definitely better than the wheelbarrow I had last year, which didn't even last a whole year. It just completely collapsed. So I needed something stronger. So this is definitely stronger. It's just the gates do have a tendency to come down. I'll see what I can do to fix that. And I love using this bedding fork. It's so much easier to fork up the wood chips. See? So much easier. And easier on my back as well. So I'm just covering up these areas that I know will be thick with weeds, and just finishing up the remainder of this pile. I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible on me this year and cutting down on the weeds. All right. So now I'm just forking over and spreading out the wood chips on the other side of the garden, making sure they're nicely dispersed so I can again cut back on the weed growth. Last year my garden just got out of hand. The weeds took over and I just let them. At a certain point there was no going back. Oh man. But this is definitely a great workout. I do enjoy it. It's hard work, but it's definitely something to get me moving, because I'm really not into the gym scene. So and here it is. The garden has been stripped, been tilled, been mulched, and is ready to begin its time this year, 2022. And go ahead and call it quits for today, and I will see you soon in another video. And as always, thanks for watching.